Hello, everybody. Welcome to Browns and Beyond, your home for Cleveland Browns content, NFL content, and other sports content. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you stay locked in with all the latest sports content. And most importantly, drop us a comment. We want to hear your thoughts. All right, boys, here we are. It's a new year, 2026. Dave, we made it. Steve, we made it. We're here, 2026. Can you believe it?
That's right, boys. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Go ahead, dude.
Yeah, Happy New Year. It's a new year. Hopefully, we're onward and upward and on to better things for the Browns after what's been a pretty rough 2025 season. So as Browns fans, we live in hope, though, So we'll have something hopeful to talk about today, I think. A little bit of sunshine today, I think.
Yeah, maybe some sunshine and rainbows because that Cleveland Browns did get the victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steve, I know you got a lot to talk about. Steve's not a big fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He hates that team, right? Right, Steve? You're not a fan of that.
That's true. I got a lot to say about this one, Brent.
Yeah.
They're not high on your favorites there, Steve.
Steve is ace favorites.
Yeah.
Steve is anti-Pittsburgh. I'm anti-Baltimore. He's
really anti-Pittsburgh than Baltimore, guys.
Go ahead, Dave. What are you?
I'm anti both. It's not necessarily 50-50. I'd probably be a little bit more anti-Pittsburgh, probably. Because the rivalry goes back that far with them, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, guys, we will start Mr. Steve Retzer. Steve, give us the recap there. The Browns and the Steelers game in Cleveland. And the Browns take the win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Go ahead, Steve.
All right, boys, the Browns got the win 13-6. We did it. This is the one win I wanted for the season. You got to beat the Steelers at home, and they are now 5-1 since 2019 at home against Pittsburgh. One thing the Browns didn't do was the fact that Myles Garrett did not get his sack, but he will have one more game left against the Bengals to do so.
Steve, it seems like the Steelers' game plan was kind of dictating that.
Yes. That's what I'm getting into, guys. And my opinion here in a second.
Yeah.
Many think the Steelers tried to stop the sack record more than they were worried about getting the win. They asked Mike Tomlin just that, and he denied it. But I believe that's what they did. They didn't want him getting that sack record, and it made him lose. What is your guys' opinion on that? I wanted to get that.
Oh, I totally agree. They were more focused on the sack record than they were getting the win. I remember watching the game, and I remember Rodgers he saw Garrett coming, and he'd throw it in the ground or throw it away or throw it to a receiver that wasn't even open. And you guys remember that he was trigger happy? Don't you agree to that?
Oh, yeah, he released the ball super fast. Dave, what you got? What would you say there, Dave?
Yeah. Well, I do definitely think there were a lot of swing passes to running backs, a lot of a little check down Charlie in this one for Aaron Rodgers. But, I'm going to get into it in my notes, too. I think there are some things that could have been a bigger part of their game plan that are a little bit more directed towards my bold prediction, where I think the Steelers had some mistakes in what they were trying to do on Sunday. But, yeah, it definitely seemed like now they were doing some things like chipping on Myles and doubling him as well. So you got to give them credit in those areas. And plus, they had some personnel shortages, Steve, that I know you mentioned before the cast. I'm sure you're going to get into that, right?
That's right. Well, guys, this win prevented the Steelers from winning the division. The Ravens were happy the Browns won because it kept their playoff hopes alive. The winner of the Ravens and Steelers game this Sunday coming wins the division and goes to the playoffs, and the loser pretty much goes home. But in this game, the Browns defense dominated, holding the Steelers to field goals and forcing critical stops, while Shedeur Sanders and the offense did just enough to get the win, guys. The Browns were winning 10-0 after the first quarter. Harold Fannin caught another touchdown pass from Shedeur for 28 yards. He caught the ball near the goal line and rolled in for the touchdown.
Hey, Steve, it was too bad we lost his services after that catch, though, unfortunately.
No, gosh, we're all excited. He's excited. They scored, and he has a hard time getting up, and his player had to help him get up and get off the field. That was unfortunate there, Dave. That's for sure. Shador, he finished 17 to 23 for 186 yards with 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions while being sacked twice. Guys, I know he's throwing the picks, but I think he can learn from them, being his rookie year, kind of like how Peyton Manning did his rookie year. I know he's throwing picks. I'm going to admit it, and you know I'm a Shador guy. But I think he can learn from him. This is his rookie year. I don't think you hit the panic button yet, guys.
Well, I have to say this, and me and Brent got into this a lot after the game. I'm going to get into this in my notes as well. What I would say is this. I just think that you can go ahead and make the Peyton Manning comparison all you want, Steve. Peyton Manning also threw, I think, for 25, 26 touchdowns that season as well. So, that was also part of the equation. I would also add that there are some things that are part of his game that have always been a part of his game since college that he has to break and he has to get better at. And I think we saw some of that in this game. And, maybe a new offensive coordinator, maybe a quarterback coach, maybe an offseason changes those things going into next season. We'll see. Those could be hard habits to break. But, no, there was some good. But after the really good, there was some really not so good. And I'm going to get into that later. Brent, do you have a thought?
Yeah, I do. I've been talking about this actually early on in our podcast, kind of in the the beginning of the preseason and thereafter. You guys remember, what did I say? I said the biggest thing that he needs to do is do very well this coming off season and get like a Carson Palmer type coach. It doesn't have to be Carson, but somebody that they make it their job to be like an off-season quarterback coach. They do it all the time, especially guys that are rookies. He needs to get his game better in the offseason if he wants to be an NFL quarterback. Shador Sanders is very raw. He does go the backwards. Yes, I see he's doing a little better with his progressions, but still can't read the defense properly. Wouldn't you agree, Dave? He still can't read defenses as well as we want, correct?
Well, I thought he did throw with the anticipation and did a little bit better job of going through his progressions, particularly early in this one. I was going to get into that. But, there are still some plays that, he's trying. Some of the things, I've said this before, some of the plays that he was able to make against Baylor in the Big 12, he's trying to make in the NFL. And that ain't going to happen. So, no. You ain't facing Baylor's defense anymore. I hate to be the one to break the news to you, but, you're not going to get away with that in the NFL.
The other thing that I don't like about his game, and I Dave, I bet you'll have to agree with me on this.
Yeah.
He doesn't throw the ball intermediate in tight windows, and you got to do that. You can't just throw bombs all the way downfield. You got to hit intermediate throws. Go ahead.
Now, to be fair, there was some intermediate in that first quarter, Brent. There was.
I know. I'm talking about in the totality. I'm not talking about this past game. I'm talking about in totality. I need to see more of an intermediate, hitting the guys in stride and maybe some out routes and just hitting it right when it needs to. Now, we understand the receiving core isn't the greatest, so there's some of that in play.
Yeah.
His offseason is going to be a major factor. But I feel like, he's got work. He's raw, and we're just going to have to see improvement for year 2. Go ahead.
Yeah, guys, I still think he could be our quarterback in 2026, and it would be nice to draft the many positions of need to make the team better rather than draft another quarterback. We need the receivers and the offensive line help like tomorrow. They're the worst in the league, and it shows. Imagine giving Shador playmakers that can run routes and catch the ball, along with the front that could give him time to throw and open up holes for guys like Quinshad Judkins when he gets back from that injury. And speaking of the running game, the Browns couldn't run the football much. They missed Judkins. Dylan Sampson got the carries mostly, but he only averaged like 2.5 yards per carry. That's not so great. Raheem Sanders and Trevion Williams didn't do much better. Shador, that quarterback, is looking like he's running the ball the best. He had 4 carries for 20 yards. So running game not looking so hot in this one.
Steve, didn't you have a feeling this game was going to be more in the hands of Shador coming in, especially without Judkins in the lineup?
I did. I wasn't expecting a lot of rushing yards. I was hoping for Sampson to have a few nice carries. But as you mentioned too, Dave, and I did as well, he's not really a feature back. He's more of a third down or dump it off to him in a pass. that kind of situation, he can't really be your lead running back feature, you know?
Right.
Well, guys, I did say that Jerry Jeudy would need to step it up in this one like he did last year with Jameis Winston. He wasn't as effective as he was last year against the Steelers, but he did have 5 catches, 54 yards. I would have liked to have him more yards per catch. He only averaged like 10, 11 per catch. But this seems to be the offense Tommy Reese is running through Kevin Stefanski, unfortunately. Well, my boy Cedric Tillman caught 1 pass for 42 yards, and it was a crucial play that moved the Browns into Steelers territory and set up their only touchdown drive, which, as we know, we mentioned earlier, went to Harold Fannin. The Browns defense did well overall, holding the Steelers to only 6 points. Garrett didn't get the sack. You know, they were double teaming. They held him. Rodgers got the ball out too fast for Garrett to get to him. I did mention I thought Alex Wright would have a good game on the opposite side of Garrett, and he did just that. He did get a sack on Rodgers, and safety Grant Delpit sacked Rodgers also. So there was 2 sacks for the Browns on the day. Cornerback Tyson Campbell led the team with a 90.1 PFF grade.
He had a great day.
Pass coverage. Oh, yeah. He looked
Great
great.
day.
I was texting you guys in the text chain.
Yeah.
Look at these corners. And look at Campbell. He's playing amazing.
Well, I will give them credit. I mean, you know, I thought Newsom was playing really well, you know, early in the year, opposite corner of Denzel, but they have upgraded on the Campbell for Newsom trade, Steve. I really think that's been an upgrade for the Browns.
I believe so, too. It's definitely been an upgrade, and I'm glad we did it, you know, and that worked out for us. As we know, Devin Bush, he played good, and he wanted to beat his former team, that being the Steelers. I was actually surprised that Aaron Rodgers went at Denzel Ward. He challenged him twice at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Both passes were incomplete. Ward defended them quite well, and the throws were a little off. I know he didn't have great receivers in there, guys, but Rodgers' throws didn't look so hot either. Would you agree there?
Well, Steve, I got a comment on that. The last throw, did you think it was close? Because I don't know if Denzel got his head around and he was being a little bit handsy there. Did you think some yellow might have come out on the field on that last play?
I was saying, don't pull that flag out. Do not. He had both his hands up. He wasn't really right. He didn't have the best vision on that play. Both hands up. He had a little bit of touch in the receiver, but I mean, it's the NFL. They got to do it a little bit. I'm glad they didn't throw the flag.
No. The flag was justified there.
Okay.
I actually thought it might not even, to be honest, you can even make the case, was it exactly, you know, was it catchable? You know, some of that was even a question for me too.
Right.
I mean,
might not have been a catchable pass.
Yeah. So a little bit of both. Yeah, like you said, Steve, they can get a little handsy. It just it wasn't over the top, so they're not calling that, especially last play of the game. It has to be really convincing. But go ahead.
Well, Aaron Rodgers, he finished 21 to 39 for 168 yards, no touchdown passes, but no interceptions. They really missed not having DK Metcalf in the game, who was out on suspension. I think they would have beaten us guys if they had Metcalf had he played. So his bad decision cost the Steelers a victory on Sunday, guys.
Yeah, I think that the Steelers just found out how big a part of this offense it's been. You know, I've said that, you know, at times Rodgers has looked old this year, and he has. But you know what? He also hasn't had the strongest supporting cast. People always talk about supporting casts for certain quarterbacks. This is not the strongest that he's had in his career. And if you take Metcalf out of the equation, it becomes really weak. Really weak.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
That looked like the Browns' sister right there. You know, I mean, the receiving corners are pretty close.
Yeah.
Like, I'm serious.
It's absolutely
Hey, Dave, you can make an argument. Maybe the Browns might be a little stronger.
Well, yeah,
They are without Metcalf.
Yep.
Yeah. Keep going, Steve. Sir.
Well, guys, Jalen Warren, he's been running the ball quite well lately. Over 100 yards running, I think, the last couple games. He had some nice runs against the Browns. I was actually surprised that Mike Tomlin didn't make sure he got more carries. I mean, he had 12 rushes on the day. Right, Dave?
Don't remind me.
I know you needed that for something. You needed that. I get it. They also held Kenneth Gainwell, you know, who's part of that Pittsburgh 1-2 punch. They kept Gainwell from gaining yards, so that was good. But yeah, just shocked that Warren didn't get more carries. This is what we just mentioned, guys. The Steelers' receivers are worse than ours. I mean, it's It is. It's pretty crazy, guys. Pat Fryermuth led them with 3 catches for 63 yards. Tough break for Pittsburgh, especially if they make the playoffs. Tight end Darnell Washington, who's a big guy, and he's been playing well.
Yeah.
He left the game with a broken arm, and he's out for the season. So tough blow for Pittsburgh there. And I got to say this, guys, their veterans didn't show up to play. Their veterans like MVS and Adam Thielen were not threats by any means. Campbell and Ward had no problem, no trouble with those guys.
Yeah.
On defense for Pittsburgh, Jack Sawyer, who was in for the injured TJ Watt, he got an interception on Shador, and Kyle Duggar got the other interception. Wasn't that something, seeing our Ohio State guy? Remember, Brent, we watched the national championship when they beat Notre Dame. Didn't Sawyer do good in that one? And then here he is, an Ohio State guy, kicking butt for Pittsburgh, getting the interception. I couldn't believe it when Sawyer got that interception, you know?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Well, veteran Alex Highsmith, he got both of the Steelers sacks on the day for Pittsburgh. But in closing, guys, I predicted a Browns win, and we did it. Shador got his first win at home. I had a feeling we were going to do it. Go Browns. Way to get a win for the last home game of the season. At least it gave the fans something with this awful depleted season, guys. But I'm going to say go Browns. I said it. We did it.
Well said, Steve. We will get to Mr. Dave Greenshield. Dave, give us the recap here of this Browns and Steelers matchup.
Well, Brent, I believe the Browns fans got a late Christmas gift, a victory over those hated Steelers. The Browns beat the Steelers 13-6 on Sunday at Huntington Bank Field, holding the Steelers to 0 second-half points and the season low in scoring. This wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing game to watch. I'm sure Browns fans could care less, like Steve. Right, Steve?
Yeah, I wanted this win, but I don't care. We can lose the rest. We need draft position.
Right. That's for sure. In turn, it did hurt the Browns' draft position a little bit, but it sends the fans and the team home happy with a win in front of mostly a home crowd. Right, Steve?
Yeah, there was some yellow towels in that crowd too, and people traveled from Pittsburgh to see this one. Yeah. But hey, that was good. We got the win, so they were the loser. Well, they were there or not. Steeler fan.
Yeah, the Browns' offense looked sharp early, scoring 10 points as quarterback Shador Sanders was slinging the ball all over the field. After that, though, it became a defensive battle, so much that no scoring was happening in the second half. The Cleveland's defense rose to the occasion to prevent Pittsburgh from clinching a playoff spot. Quarterback Shador Sanders completed 17 of 23 passes for 73.9 completion percentage, a career high. He passed for 186 yards, throwing a touchdown and 2 interceptions. This appeared to be a game where the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers were more concerned with Myles Garrett, as we mentioned, not getting the single-season record than getting a win to secure the division title. This really seemed to affect their offensive game plan. Again, settling for the short passes, lots of throws to the running backs. As far as the Browns go, the offensive game plan seemed to be far less conservative, particularly in the first half of the game. I think Reese was doing some good things with Shador in that first half. Shador was sharp early in this one. On the opening drive, he made a nice move to evade a defender before firing a tight end to Brendan Bates for a gain of 19 yards. A few plays later, on a 3rd and 7, Sanders found wide receiver Jerry Jeudy on a dig route for 10 yards and a first down. This will lead to Andre Smith's 50-yard field goal to make it 3-0. Sanders began the next drive with a perfect pass to wide receiver Cedric Tillman that went for 42 yards on a catch and run into Pittsburgh territory. He ended the drive floating a pass to tight end Harold Fannin towards a corner of the end zone, where he tracked it down for a 28-yard touchdown pass and a 10-0 lead. Now, Steve, be honest, that one looked like a wobbler where the Steelers defender may have misplayed the ball. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it sure seemed like it.
Yeah, that's true, and that's why Fannin had to catch it and kind of roll into the end zone instead of just catch it clean and run in the end zone, Dave? But I was loving that Cedric Tillman catch. Why don't they get him the ball more? He's probably letting him keep. I think he's probably open. They should run some more plays to Tillman, I believe,
Yeah, he's been a big body receiver. He hasn't been the most productive guy since we drafted him out of Tennessee. But that goes back to that long line of misses at wide receiver we've talked about so many times. The Steelers would finally respond with a 10-play drive that went 55 yards, ending with a Chris Boswell field goal that came from 44 yards out, which trimmed the Browns' lead to 10-3. The next Browns drive stalled, and on 4th and 7, the Browns decided to go for it and passed on a 51-yard field goal. Sanders' pass to tight end Sal Cannella was beyond his reach for a turnover on downs. On the next Browns drive, Sanders delivered another nice throw on the drive, getting a 16-yard strike to Isaiah Bond on a 3rd and 4, and then finding Judy for 12 yards into Pittsburgh territory. Then left tackle Cam Robinson was beaten badly. The hit was as Shedeur tried to throw the ball from there. It was tipped at the line and picked off by Jack Sawyer, as Steve mentioned, and returned 27 yards to the Browns' 31-yard line. This is when most of the productive part of the day for Shedeur and the Browns offense ended. I don't know if you noticed that, Steve. Things did seem to stall out from that point on.
Yeah, it was tough after that. They were hot, and then you're right, Dave. It seems like it just was so after that.
On the next drive, Sanders just barely missed throwing a pick six on the flat to begin the drive. As I mentioned, this is where it started to unravel a little bit for Shedeur. The Steelers would close the half with points going 10 plays for 56 yards. Rodgers got Pittsburgh in range for a 40-yard field goal, which Boswell hit to make it 10-6 at the half. The two teams went scoreless in the third quarter. The Steelers went 13 plays for 42 yards. This drive featured a short passes and ended with a missed 54-yard field goal by Boswell. The short passing was a big part of the Steelers' game plan. Again, the absence of DK Metcalf was really felt such a large part of this offense. The Steelers combined for just 60 yards receiving from their wide receiver core. They seem to have issues getting separation all day long. Again, that press man coverage from Tyson Campbell and Denzel Ward was very effective on Sunday. The Browns got the ball with 12:53 left in the fourth, and on 2nd and 5, Sanders retreated a bit and seemed like he noticed that nothing was there. He suddenly decides to throw it deep to Judy down the field, who wasn't even open, and it was intercepted by Kyle Duggar. Not the best decision in the world by Shedeur. Again, this is the bad Shedeur that we have to endure. But again, this is his fundamentals. There are times in the game where he does need to do a better job of recognizing pressure, get to the sideline, and throw the ball away. And that's the part of his game that needs to change. This was, again, the part that we saw in the preseason, unfortunately. And, again, we saw it in the regular season. The teams would continue to exchange punts in the fourth quarter. The Steelers got the ball at the Browns' 20-yard line with 2:16 left. Rodgers had 4 downs to complete a pass, and all 4 times the ball fell short of the intended receiver. The turnover on downs gave the Browns the ball back, leading 10-6 with 1:58 left in the game. Pittsburgh held the Browns to just 4 yards in 3 plays, called 3 timeouts to stop the clock at 1:44. Cleveland opted to kick a field goal and extend the lead to 13-6. Smits made the 33-yard field goal, giving the Browns a touchdown lead with 1:40 left in the game. Rodgers started the Steelers drive at 1:40 to score a touchdown to even the score at 13. He quickly moved the Steelers down the field, taking 47 seconds to move them 55 yards to the Cleveland 21-yard line. Rodgers passed to tight end Freiermuth for an 11-yard gain, moved them into the red zone and within 10 yards of the end zone. On the next down, he connected with Adam Thielen for 3 yards before Thielen ran out of bounds with 29 seconds remaining. I don't know about you guys. This is where I was starting to get worried in this one.
Yeah, Dave, I had a feeling we'd win it, but I was nervous because, Rodgers, he's come back and gotten more victories than you can count on, on your hands. And it did worry me a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brent.
Well, I really did. I thought it was the end. I thought Rodgers was going to do his thing and it's over, and another loss. And, it is what it is. Got the W. Go ahead.
But by the way, any chance they go for 2 if they'd have scored the touchdown real quick?
I don't think they would have, but
they probably wouldn't have because
Browns offense was anemic at that point.
They would have just trusted themselves in overtime, right?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I think the Browns offense, I know, Steve, you love your boy Shedeur, but he wasn't doing anything in that second half. Nothing. And
not much. I will say this, Andre Schmidt, he's been making his kicks as of late. We were real concerned about him earlier in the season. He's been doing a lot better. At least he's making these kicks.
But yeah. I just feel that it just would, they would have, Rodgers would have been the favorite over Shedeur in the overtime.
Oh, yeah.
Pittsburgh would win.
Comeback victories. Rodgers has had a ton of those guys.
Yeah.
So I should have been decades.
I just wanted to go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Rodgers targeted Valdez-Scantling on the next 3 plays, but there was a problem. Ward was covering. With each play, Rodgers tried to force the ball to Valdez-Scantling, but Ward stopped any chance of a completion. On 4th and 7, Rodgers floated the ball to Valdez-Scantling for Pittsburgh's last chance, but Ward blanketed the receiver, giving him no chance to catch the ball. Game over. Browns win 13-6. In reviewing the final numbers, Steve mentioned 21 of 39 for 168 yards, no touchdowns and no picks. Rodgers just didn't get any help from his wide receiver core. That's chances are why there was a lot of dinking and dunking in this game as well. They just weren't getting separation. The Steelers did get 68 yards rushing on 12 carries from Jalen Warren. More on that later. On to Shedeur. He was very sharp in the first half. He was going through his reads, throwing with anticipation, and he was very accurate with the football. It really seemed like after the interceptions, things started to unravel for Sanders. He ended up with 2 interceptions. He probably should have had 3. The ability to throw the ball away when necessary and recognizing pressure are still the issues. Overall, guys, the Shedeur grade I'm going with is C+. Let's go around the bend. Brent, then Steve.
Oh, I'm not giving him a C+. I'm giving him a C or C-.
Okay.
I don't think it's a D or an F because he did get him the win, and he also had a good performance for the most part in the first half, right? So
yeah.
The thing about Shedeur, I'm going to conclude with this, and we'll get to Steve's grade. I'm noticing this, and it's also a Stefanski thing too. Always early on, they always do well. Once adjustments are being made or the game goes on and it settles in, the offense just doesn't do anything, and it's disappointing. The only game that comes to mind maybe would have been that Titans game. That was kind of more of a late game. But I need Shedeur to be more consistent throughout the game. Definitely C or C-. But go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to give Shedeur a B. I mean, he did get the victory. He played really good in that first half, in my opinion. The throw to Fannin, the long throw to Cedric Tillman. I wish they would have kept making plays like that. It's like they kind of go conservative, and then he starts throwing his interceptions. It always seems like when he throws his interceptions, one interception is his fault, and one interception it was like blocked or
false tip.
Well, tip, like a tip ball, Dave. Yeah, correct.
Well, a couple quick points. Number one, I would say of all 10 interceptions that he's thrown, there's more than a few that are on the receivers, or there's a tip ball, or there was a breakdown in a blocking assignment like happened here with Cam Robinson. But I would also say, it's some of his fundamentals. It's recognizing pressure and, throwing the ball away when necessary. And again, Steve, he should have had another interception. That throw into the flat there should have been picked. The Steelers defender just dropped the ball. Right. I would also add, just last point about Shedeur, I do think his scrambling has been really helpful, though.
I like him with his legs, Dave. I was going to mention that to you.
Yes, we'll throw out a puck. I'm one of those that can do both. Most people can't do both. Here's the good, here's the bad. I try to do both. So, to be fair.
To finish it up, though, one more thing. He has to work on the fundamentals of football when it comes to this offseason. He's got to, like Dave said, he's got to learn when to throw it away, when to know when pressure is coming.
Yes.
Mix up his game a little bit, instead of just, and that part of that's Tommy Reese too, dink and dunk and intermediate long throws. Have a better balance of your game. Make better decision making. That lollygag throw and his dad's in the stands, and you just can't have that. You want to be a pro football player, you gotta play like a pro at all times. This year, he's raw, but I just had to kind of add that. Go ahead.
By the way, Deion Sanders up in the booth, he looked upset a few times. He's holding his head and he's like, but I'm sure he's proud of his son for getting the win, but he was frustrated for his son earlier in the game.
Sure. We will wait another week for the Miles sack record. We'll start on Myles Garrett's sack watch. The Steelers were doubling, using players to chip to kind of help him prevent him from getting the record. It also helped that Rodgers was thumping the ball off consistently, as mentioned earlier. Linebackers Carson Schwessinger and Devin Bush led the defensive charge with 9 tackles apiece. Safety Grant Delpit and Alex Wright both recorded a sack in this one. Overall, the defense proved me wrong. I really thought they were checked out. I mentioned that to Brent before. Great performance in this one. In conclusion, this was a nice win. Let's be honest, it won't help this team achieve anything. It does hurt our draft status a little bit. It was nice to see a good start for Shedeur. He looked good, as mentioned, mostly early in this one. I have to say, not so much after that. He still needs to avoid the poor decisions, as mentioned. The defense was awesome. They continue to carry the offense. This was also a game when they got a key stop when they needed it, by the way, at the end of the game. I'm still hopeful we'll get a better decision-making from Shedeur in the last game. I know he's just a rookie, Steve. I get it. That is what the defenders say. But still, the run backwards must go. In a bad season, it is always good to get a win over the Steelers. Brent, it was nice to give the fans something to cheer about for once.
Yep, no doubt about it. Well said, Dave. We will get to the game of the week, and we have something to say to our audience. All three of us are the game of the week. I don't think that's ever happened at Browns and Beyond, has it?
Wow, that's pretty awesome, guys.
I think we'll have to go back and check the record. I think it's happened a couple more times, Brian. But
yeah, I was going to say, not often, but this time I know everyone's sitting also. Steve Retzer finally got a win. Steve. It's been a minute for you, buddy. I think didn't you lose 2 in a row before you won this?
I'm back in the saddle again, boys.
You are. You're getting back in it. So we will return to Mr. Steve Retzer. Steve, give us your game of the week.
All right, guys. They had the Eagles at the Bills, and the Eagles got the win 13-12. It was an ugly win, but I will take it, guys. The story of this game was the Eagles' defense versus a hobbled but dangerous Josh Allen. While Philadelphia's offense went completely stagnant in the second half, gaining only 16 yards, the defense and special teams made the plays that ultimately decided the game, guys.
Yes. You know what, Steve? I have to say, the Bills count on just Josh Allen and maybe some of James Cook to do way too much for this football team.
Yeah, Dave, we both agreed here that they need some receivers to step it up. They need receivers, speaking of a team that needs them. And not many guys have. You know what I mean?
Well, I would also say they're not necessarily great on the defensive side of the ball. We bear witness to how bad that run defense is, and they don't necessarily have a dominant pass rush for that matter either. So, it's not like they can necessarily win games, 14-13, or they almost won this. I shouldn't say that, but it's very tough for them to win low-scoring games. They need the offense and Josh Allen and James Cook to produce.
Yeah. There was a game-saving special teams play, by the way, in this one. In the fourth quarter, after Buffalo finally scored their first touchdown, Jalen Carter blocked the extra point. Man, does he come up huge? God, I'd love to have him on the Browns. I think he's an excellent player.
He's unblockable.
And special teams. The guy's making plays all the time.
Yeah.
The stolen point meant that when Buffalo scored again with 5 seconds left, they had to go for 2 to win instead of kicking a PAT to tie. Josh Allen missed a wide open Khalil Shakir on that 2-point try, sealing the win. There was a dominant first half by the Eagles. Looked like they were world beaters early on. The defense was pitching a shutout for the first 55 minutes of the game, guys.
Hey, Steve, real quick, do you have any faith in this Eagles offense, though, going forward? I think I've said this before, whenever they're too Jalen Hurts dependent, I don't think it's good for them. They don't have the dominant running game like they did a year ago. They missed Lane Johnson, a future Hall of Famer on the offensive line. They basically asked for, in a lot of instances, for Hurts to just throw it up to Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, throw up some YOLO balls, and for them to go ahead and just out-athlete people and make plays. And I just don't think they have enough offensively going forward. Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, Dave. The Eagles' defense and special teams keeps them in the games and gets them victories. Jalen Hurts is having a tough season, and I agree with you. Saquon Barkley, I told you guys he wouldn't have a year like he did last year.
Well, nobody thought that.
Yeah, most people agree with that.
Yeah, it's not. You didn't discover fire there or something, Steve. He thought he was going for 2,000.
Well, Barkley, admit this, Dave. You would have thought Barkley would have a little better season though than he's having this year. He's barely had 100-yard rushing games. I expected a little more production than he's done at this point. And A.J. Brown, they're starting to get him involved a little more. Devontae Smith's not having too bad of a season, but A.J. Brown was even talking about trading him, and he might not want to be there. And I think they're starting to listen a little bit. They're getting him the ball a little bit. He had like 5 catches, I think 68 yards in this one. But Hurts needs to step it up too. I mean, I always talk so highly of him, and they won a Super Bowl. They're still a threat, come playoffs, but they're gonna have to learn how to score and get that running game going better, guys.
I tend to agree. Yeah, unless they can get a serious running game going, I just don't trust this offense.
Exactly. So there was a turning point. Jalen Phillips strip sacked Josh Allen in the first quarter. Rookie Jahad Campbell recovered it, setting up a Jalen Hurts touchdown pass to Dallas Goedert. Goddard's had a pretty decent season for a tight end. That touchdown was Goddard's 11th of the season, by the way, breaking the Eagles franchise record for most receiving touchdowns by a tight end in a single season. So at least he stepped it up. You know what I mean? Right there at the tight end position.
Yep.
Jake Elliott proved why he's a weapon, nailing a 47-yarder in brutal wins to put Philly up 13-0 at the half. In the second half, the Eagles' offense essentially stopped existing. The Eagles gained only 16 yards in the entire second half. How do you win a game, Dave, when you're 16?
Here's the thing, Steve. We've talked about this with this Eagles team. We have a sample size over the last few years. The 22 team had a balanced offense. The 23 team did not have a balanced offense, did not have the run game. But I will say that the one thing that also went bad is the pass defense was really bad towards the end of the 23 season, and they got really lit up. So I think the thing that differs from the team that had the early exit 2 years ago is this team can rely more on its defense to win low-scoring games like it did on Sunday. But, eventually, if they run into an opponent that can put some points on the board, maybe get into the 20s, I don't know if Hurts and this offense can get there right now. I just don't.
Exactly. If you got to face a team like the Rams, who they beat last year, I think the Rams would be a difficult opponent for them this year if they ran into each other in the playoffs, for example. Jalen Hurts went 0 for 7 in the second half. It was a bizarre conservative performance that let Buffalo back into the game. Of course, like I mentioned, Jalen Carter, he returns from a shoulder injury. He saves the season, guys. I mean, after Josh Allen finally scoring the touchdown, like I mentioned earlier, 13-6. Carter blocks that extra point.
Hey, last thing on the Bills here, Steve. Anything about going for the 2 there? Do you think that maybe the blocked extra point swayed them on that, or do you just felt that they had to win it there, or just their decision to go for the 2 in that instance?
Yeah. I would say that I think they were worried about it because of the block. I think they were.
Okay.
The block changed the entire math of the game. Instead of Buffalo needing a field goal to win, they're forced into a desperate situation. With 5 seconds left, as we know, Allen scored the touchdown because of the earlier block. The Bills had to go for 2, like we just mentioned. So Allen rolled left under heavy pressure from Jalix Hunt. He threw a pass to an open Shakir in the back of the end zone, but it sailed a foot wide, guys. The Eagles recovered the onside kick and escaped with the 1-point win. The Eagles defense recorded 5 sacks on Josh Allen, with Jalix Hunt having 2 of them. The Eagles became the first team since 1987 Patriots to win a game without completing a single pass in the second half. That's pretty unbelievable. This moves Philadelphia to 11-5, and they've secured at least the number 3 seed in the NFC. I think the Bills moved to 11-5 as well in the AFC. Anyway, guys, it was an ugly win, but we got it. The Eagles got it done, and I'm going to say go Eagles.
Well said, Steve. We will turn to Mr. Dave Greenshield. Dave, another W for you, game of the week, and, you're just rolling, man. How was your game of the week?
Well, I had the winning streak, though, but then I had 2 losses, Brett. Now I got back into my winning ways this week, though.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. I took the Seahawks in the Panthers game. The Seahawks are doing everything they can to wrap up the number 1 seed in the NFC. This, in many ways, looks like the most complete team in the league. They continue to just win, beating the Panthers 27-10, and looking to close in on their first NFC West title since 2020. Seattle's 13-3 could have wrapped up the division in week 17 had the 49ers and Rams both lost or tied. But the 49ers held on to beat the Chicago Bears in a 42-38 thriller on Sunday night. Man, that was a great game, wasn't it, gentlemen?
Oh, yeah. And we getting into that in my game of the week.
There you go. Setting up a showdown on Saturday night, the Seahawks will need a win at San Francisco, which has scored 127 points in their last 3 games. Amazing. In this one, Sam Darnold overcame an interception in the end zone and finished 18 of 27 for 147 yards with a touchdown for the Seahawks. This was a defensive battle for a while, with the two teams exchanging field goals in the first half. The score was tied at 3 apiece as both teams went into the locker room. The Seahawks took advantage of 2 third-quarter Panthers turnovers. They converted both of them into touchdowns. A Chuba Hubbard fumble at the Carolina 20-yard line would lead to a Zach Charbonnet 2-yard touchdown run and a Seattle 10-3 lead. He would have a nice day, Charbonnet, in this one. It was interesting. Seattle finally got their rushing game going in this one. Charbonnet had 110 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. On the ensuing possession, Young's pass to McMillan was intercepted by Julian Love, leading to a Darnold 17-yard touchdown pass to tight end A.J. Barner. The Seattle defense made life miserable for Young. He was limited to 54 yards on 14 of 24 passing and threw an interception and just was inconsistent for the Panthers. He ran for 30 yards and counted for Carolina's only touchdown with a 10-yard scamper, so he did have some yards on the ground. This would come after a 13-play, 69-yard touchdown drive that ended with his 10-yard run. This would close the game to 17-10 with 12:41 left in the fourth quarter. Jason Meyer's 30-yard field goal with 8:08 left in the fourth quarter would move the lead to 20-10 to Seattle. The Seahawks sacked Young twice on the ensuing possession to get the ball back, and Charbonnet sealed it with a second touchdown run of the game. That would make the final 27-10. The Seahawks, Jackson Smith and Jigma caught 9 passes for 72 yards, but the Seahawks really relied on the ground game. They outgained Carolina 163 yards to 99 on the ground. The Seattle defense clamped down on rookie sensation T. McMillan. He caught just 1 pass for 5 yards. Credit the Seattle defense, which was really the story in this one. They forced 2 key turnovers, and they held the Panthers to only 139 yards of total offense. Very impressive. The Panthers 8-8 had a chance to win the NFC South after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost 20-17 at Miami on Sunday. Boy, not good for good old Baker and the Bucs there, Steve.
I know, Dave. I couldn't believe. I called my family down because they all live down in Florida. They wanted Tampa. They like Tampa better than Miami. And I can't believe that Miami gets that win. Oh, man. It's just something, isn't it? It's just disappointing. I need Tampa to beat Carolina next week. I was going to say this, though, Dave. Seattle's defense is just so tough. And Carolina's not ready for a tough defense like that. Last week, they beat up, guess who? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I watched that game, Dave, and man, Carolina was just beating them up, moving down the field. T-Mac had a good game in that one. I know not in this one. But, yeah, Carolina, I still want Tampa to win next week. I mean, it's like they really need to, man, because I don't see Carolina being a force against anybody in the playoffs, and definitely not Seattle.
Hey, Steve, I'll tell you what, if Baker Mayfield loses next week, we're putting them on Fraud Island with it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Brett,
He's
do we got to do that? Do we have to do that?
I'm doing it. If he cannot win next week, I'm putting him on Fraud Island. Right now, Herbert is like Tom Hanks in that Castaway thing, and he's just talking to himself, he's talking to a volleyball.
Yeah.
He'll get rid of the volleyball. He'll be able to talk to Baker because he'll have somebody to talk to. They'll both be on Fraud Island together. They can hold hands.
Can you just add another guy on Fraud Island, or does one have to leave Fraud Island and bring Baker into Fraud Island?
They can
who comes off the island.
Hey, can I just let me make a quick point here. I'm going to get to Sam Darnold and my fraud. I already got to my Sam Darnold Fraud Island points earlier before, by the way. By the way, his moment of truth will come this Saturday against San Francisco, by the way. I have to say that. Now the Panthers will likely need a victory at Tampa next weekend to win their first division title since 2015. That was their Super Bowl year, and snap a 7-year playoff drought. Appears both teams control their own future. It really should make for an interesting week 18 in the NFL. In conclusion, I thought this would be an interesting test for both teams. This was a tough one for Young as he continues to try to show progress as a quarterback. The Seattle defense limited the Carolina run game and took away Young's best wide receiver threat. This may have proven that Carolina, where they're lacking in certain areas to compete with the top teams in the NFC. I think they need another receiver. They probably need to shore up the offensive line a little bit more. And they just ran into a buzzsaw that was the Seattle defense. It's going to be interesting, though, as Steve mentioned, to see that test for Tampa. Baker's not been playing really well lately. If Baker can't carve up the Miami defense, especially having all his weapons back,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You're right. He might be heading back to Fraud Island.
Well, they say he's playing injured, if that counts for anything. I don't really call that an excuse. Is that an excuse? I don't know about that. Some guys would probably just say, "Sit me out, take me out, put someone in." Baker's a fighter, though. You got to give him that. He's a fighter.
He can be a fraud. He can be a fighter on Fraud Island. Him and Herbert can go catch Buffalo and
will him and Herbert play catch with each other?
No. What I'm saying is they can go hunting together on Fraud Island. It's like Tom Hanks. You're stuck there, so they can fight and try to get. They can hunt together and get animals and try to survive that way. Because I'll tell you what, I'm calling it now. He's going on Fraud Island. He's going to lose. That's what I think. But go ahead.
Maybe the volleyball. Bring the volleyball like they did in Castaway. There you go, Brent. Well, it's going to be interesting. They still control their own destiny to win the division title with the Tampa Bay game, and it should be interesting this week. On to Seattle. This defense is nasty. The 49ers with Purdy and C-Mac should present interesting challenges, though. This will be a defining game, as I mentioned, for Sam Darnold. He's been down this way before, Brent, by the way. Remember a year ago?
Oh, yeah.
This was the moment of truth. He's playing for the division. He's playing for the number 1 seed. I believe Sam Darnold's been in this spot before, as I mentioned.
Yeah, 2 in a row last year at the end. Don't forget.
Exactly. He'll need to come up big this week. He's going to be in a good situation. He's facing, a San Francisco defense with a lot of injuries. Remember, Caleb Williams lit him up this week. So this is a moment of truth for Sam Darnold. It'll be interesting to see if both teams will be up to the challenge this week. Brent, I have to say, bring on week 18. Let's go.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, good job there, Dave. We will go to my game of the week, and that was the San Francisco 49ers and Chicago Bears. Yeah, I got another W. It's kind of been my thing lately. Just been kind of winning.
Brent, are you starting to brag a little bit over
Brent, are
here?
you bragging? I didn't know you were one to brag.
I'm becoming Steve Retzer's taught me well. But anyway, oh man, Dave, you became a little braggadocious, but you're a humble guy. You're like a Christian, and I get it. But Steve, he's always braggadocious, and
very much. And Dave's gotten humbled as of late.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to close out the year with a 2-game winning streak. So
there you go.
Little momentum.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. All right, in a high-stakes Sunday Night Football thriller that felt like a playoff preview, the San Francisco 49ers outlasted the Chicago Bears 42-38 in a game defined by relentless offensive firepower and a heart-stopping finale. Brock Purdy, my boy, rebounded from an opening play, pick 6, to account for 5 total touchdowns, while C-Mac reached a historic milestone by setting a franchise record for receptions by a running back in a single season. Despite losing all-pro tackle Trent Williams to a hamstring injury early on, the Niners offense had never stalled, trading blows with Caleb Williams and the Cardiac Bears in a back-and-forth shootout that featured 11 combined touchdowns. The drama peaked in the final seconds as Chicago marched to the 2-yard line. Pretty nervous at the bar, weren't we, Dave?
Yeah, I'll say this. It was incredible. Caleb Williams showed a lot in this one. Brock Purdy continues to show me a lot. Christian McCaffrey, shows that he's still one of the best all-around running backs, the best all-around running back in the NFL, and I think is putting together, a Hall of Fame career. And, what can I say about Kyle Shanahan? This team has worked through a lot of injuries this year, all the losses on defense. new wide receivers this year with no Deebo Samuel on his way out and no Ayuk this season. You didn't even have George Kittle in this one. So, yeah, real impressed by the San Francisco offense. Real impressed with your guy Purdy, Brent. Look good.
Oh, absolutely. Chicago marched to the 2-yard line with 4 seconds left, but a relentless pass rush forced a desperate throw from Williams to seal San Francisco's 6th straight win. My boy Purdy, this victory keeps 49ers hopes for the NFC's top seed alive as they head into a regular season finale against Seattle with the division title on the line. And that will be my game of the week, for the Sunday show, the Saturday show coming up. Looking forward to that game. Aren't you, Dave, as well?
I am. A quick thought on the Bears before I get to that game real quick. I have to say, I'm living in a bizarro world. This is the first Bears team in a while where I far more trust their offense than their defense. I mean, where have we ever the greatest team in the history of the Bears was a team built on
that's
defense.
That's hard to believe. Yeah. It was always Bears defense.
Right, exactly.
Always been known for the defense, even in when they've had losing seasons.
Yeah, but
they've always good.
This is a team built around Caleb Williams and a strong run game, if you can believe that.
I know.
Credit head coach Ben Johnson. Credit the continued growth of Caleb Williams. He's got playmakers around him. They've got a strong running game. They put him in a good position. He's just missed a couple of these late games, though, at Green Bay and at San Francisco when he had chances to make throws into the end zone in both of those games. They're going to be an interesting team to come watch playoff time. Just real quick thought this week on Seattle and San Francisco. This Seattle defense will present some challenges for Purdy and McCaffrey in this San Francisco offense. Real interesting chess match there. And then moment of truth game for Sam Darnold. It's going to be a fascinating game on Saturday night for the number 1 seed.
Yeah, definitely going to be checking that game out.
Yes.
All right, we will get to the last segment here, and that'll be the bold prediction. Mr. Dave Greenshield.
Yes.
Give us the bold prediction recap.
Well, I had Jalen Warren going over 100 yards rushing with a touchdown against the Browns. He went for 12 carries for 64 yards on the ground, averaging 5.3 yards per carry. It was a major fault of the Steelers' game plan that he was not featured more. Steve touched on it. The Browns' run defense has been awful coming into this one. The loss of Malik Collins, they've really been gutted in between the tackles. They haven't been gap sound. They've been missing tackles. I'm really surprised he was not featured more. Brent, watch it. It's my luck. He'll go off against the Ravens this week. By the way, the Ravens defense.
He'll get his 100 yards.
Yeah. He'll go for over 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Ravens defense has been suspect. It's just this kind of luck I've had with my bold predictions all season, Brent.
Yeah, you're always right, but it's always the following week or maybe 2 weeks after.
Like, I think I had Travion Henderson earlier having a big week, and then the next week Travion Henderson goes off for the Patriots.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, we'll get to Mr. Steve Retzer. Steve, give us your bold prediction recap.
All right, boys. I just got to tell you this. I got the trifecta. Browns win, I picked. Game of the week, and I get my bold prediction, guys.
Okay.
It was the Saints at the Titans. My bold prediction was that the Saints quarterback Tyler Shuck would throw for over 300 yards passing and record 2 touchdown passes and get the win on the road against the Titans. Shuck did just that. They won 34-26. He had 333 yards passing and got his 2 touchdowns. One went to former Ohio State, Chris Olave, and the other went to Kevin Austin Jr. And guys, get this. The Saints actually struggled and were down all game long. They scored 31 of their 34 points in the second half. Shuck did end up outplaying Cam Ward like I said he would. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I just want to say, if you're New Orleans, in a we call R&D years for certain teams, and it would certainly qualify for their team. This has got to be huge going forward for them, that they may have found their guy at quarterback. In a down season, if you feel comfortable, you found your guy at quarterback, then that's big going forward. I did not watch him play enough at Louisville last year, but he's got a really good arm. Again, it'd be interesting offseason for them. If they can put some more assets around him at receiver, offensive line, build up the offensive line a little bit more, maybe even running back. They got a lot of holes to fill because they also have to look on the defensive side of the ball. So, but if you're the Saints, I think there's some real optimism with him going forward at quarterback.
Yeah, Dave, that's true. I mean, I think me and you picked them probably to have 2 or 3 wins all season.
Yes.
And guess what they've done, Dave? They've won 4 in a row now, all with Tyler Shuck. I had a feeling he'd be a pretty good player. Remember, he's like 26, so he's not like Brandon Whedon, 28, 29, but he is older, right, Dave? He was 26.
Well, yeah, I've said this to Brent. There's something to college quarterbacks that have started a number of games in college. I think there's something beneficial to that, Steve.
Yeah.
And obviously this is not a very talented roster. He does have Chris Olave, who is an excellent wide receiver. But again, they need to continue to put a little bit more assets around him. Be an interesting offseason in New Orleans. But in a down year, if you found your quarterback moving forward, count yourself as being blessed if you're the New Orleans Saints. That's for sure.
Yeah, guys. I think next year they could be up for a playoff spot. It might be like a 7 seed, but I think they're really up and coming. Like we said, they found their quarterback. It looks like they found their coach as well, that being Kellen Moore. Yep. I like him too at head coach, Dave.
Solid offensive mind, did some good things last year in Philadelphia. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, you marry the right offensive mind with the right quarterback. You put some assets around him moving forward. It's going to be interesting to see him in New Orleans and what he can do in a complete season next year, especially if they upgrade the talent level.
Exactly.
All righty. We will get to the last thing here, get some final thoughts. We'll turn to Mr. Dave Greenshield. Some final thoughts.
Yeah, just a couple things on the Browns game. It's always good to beat the Steelers. I like to have seen Miles get the sack record. The Steelers' game plan and quick throw game would not allow that. Again, if they would have leaned a little bit more on Jalen Warren and running the football, they, might have been able to pull this game out. But I digress. And I guess as a Browns fan, I'm glad that they didn't. Although for my bold predictions, I got to be a little selfish here, guys. I wish they would have.
Sure. Why not?
But interested to get on to the last week of the season. It's finally here. A long season, though, Steve. Closing out in Cincinnati.
Yeah, in Cincinnati. It's been a long year, guys.
Yeah.
For the Browns and for our Browns. I agree with Dave as well. With nothing better than beating the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially at home. That was awesome. A little upset that Myles Garrett didn't get the sack in the 16 game. Now it has to go in the 17. But I was pretty happy, and I got to tell you guys, the trifecta pretty good. Browns win, got it. Game of the week, got it.
That's my friend.
Hey, it's been a good week, guys. It's been a good week, gentlemen.
It won't be a good week if your boy Baker gets on Fallon Island.
They're gonna beat Carolina. They're gonna beat Carolina on Saturday.
Can I just say real quick? I think the Packers get the 7th seed, and if Baltimore wins this week, my very remote Super Bowl teams are still.
I know, hanging on by a thread.
Yes,
hanging by a thread, Dave. Yeah,
there you go.
Is Snoop Huntley I think Lamar's back, right? You get Lamar.
Maybe playing. He was practicing, so yeah.
Some of them want Snoop Huntley to play. He's been playing good lately. Imagine that. He was a Brown too last year. So.
With as bad a year, even though Lamar's had a down year this year, those people need to grow a brain. Their best chance is with Lamar.
Jackson in there, right?
With Lamar, that's for sure. Yeah,
no doubt about it. All right, guys, have a good one. Take care.
Yep.